Recorded live in Valcata, Western Australia, the Who capital of the world. This is Talking Power.
Gap is what happens when you hold to the floor and crush the man next to you. There's space in between your back bumper and your front bumper. We in the South we refer to it as the gap band.
Well, I think Formula One is for grown-ups.
Shut the grade on this one, Rex. Here's the Brocks Commodore.
When we start following the move, song is ran off the players, we're going to get down the chairs!
Just listen to 351 words.
Please, mate.
So, what about the sideways? You've got a race in your own lane. Now he's on the grass, he brings it back. That's a great driving there.
Torque and Power. Your motoring and motorsport podcast.
All right, episode 42 of the Talk and Power podcast. I am Nick DeChembri and I'm here with co-host Simon Gonzo Travellini. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Listen, Nick, we've had a few complaints. Haven't done a wine review for a while.
Yeah, we need to do a wine review.
Yeah, so I brought in a bottle of the Good Paddock, and hopefully
that's what I've been in.
Yeah, you're always in a paddock, not necessarily a good one, but. Oh, you've been grazing in a good...
Yes.
Oh, now I understand the reference now. So, I'm just going to kick off by pouring a couple of glasses of this. Now, this is a 2015 vintage. Mm-hmm. I've tried the 2014. I was quite impressed.
Yeah,
quite impressed by the 14. So,
so where is this from, and who makes it?
It is. It's from Australia.
Okay.
It's gee, that changes the whole tone. It's Fowles wine. Okay. It's pretty foul. From Victoria.
There you go.
There you
Victorian
go.
Wine.
The Good
To
Paddock.
all of our Victorian listeners.
Foul.
Good Paddock.
What an unfortunate name for a winery.
Sure you haven't had
yeah,
some already?
I know. Imagine after a couple of podcasts it'll get really good. All right, so like I said, I have tried the 14. Just give me a second. I need need to
close that up.
Put a cap on this, as you would say.
Cheers.
Cheers, Nick.
Let's have a taste.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
It's a good drop. That's a good
I
drop.
don't mind that, actually.
Really, the essence and the flavour of grapes really comes out in it.
So, there you go. I don't know anything about wine, but I actually don't mind that. Too good to cook with. That's
highly recommend it. No, but leave it for a few days.
You can put it in the sauce.
All right, so massive 2 weeks in motorsport.
Yeah.
We had the Bathurst 1000. Mm-hmm. We had the
MotoGP,
mm-hmm. The Peter Brock auction.
Yep.
And
Formula One,
yes,
from Japan,
so, Suzuka, yes,
yep.
And
lots of other little things happening.
Yes,
as well.
and most importantly,
yep.
I mean the highlight of the last 2 weeks, the Super Utes racing at Bathurst.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Well, you'll have to do the review on your own because I didn't watch it.
Look, I watched the race. I watched just as I did the Bathurst 1000.
Yep.
It seemed to take considerably longer for them to go around the track.
Well, I wonder what they were lapping in.
But I'll tell you one thing: they have gotten rid of the squealy tyres.
I wonder what they've done to remedy that then.
I'd say they've gone to a different compound. Yeah. So it no longer looks like an episode of the Dukes of Hazzards.
What was that movie? Bullet, you said.
Bullet.
Yeah,
But what they did manage to replicate from Bullet is the fact that if you compression lock up, so downshift too early,
yep.
The car spins out instantly and there is a good chance you'll die.
Wow.
So, I watched that a few times during a race. It made it very interesting. I would say that the diesels don't like to be downshifted.
No. Well, here we go. The fastest lap time on the weekend was at 2 minutes 47.
What's that? How much slower is that than a V8 supercar?
Well,
1 minute?
No, 40 seconds, 43, 44 seconds slower. So
That's
it's
not that bad.
Yeah, no, it's still not very good, but is it? So the lap record's at 2 minutes and 3 seconds, so about 40 off the record. They're off 40 seconds off a normal lap.
Do you think Nick will ever get the opportunity to drive the Camry around Bathurst?
I'd love to. It'd be awesome to do the Camry. Just to drive the Camry is awesome.
Anyway, let's kick it off with the Bathurst 1000.
Yeah, so look, it was a great race. It probably wasn't the most exciting one we've had in years, but the finish, I really enjoyed the finish. But we'll just talk it through anyway. Basically, Davey Reynolds, he got posted a time of 2 minutes 4 seconds, just to edge out Anton De Pasquale. Anton came out, I think he was the 9th or the 8th runner that came out in the top 10, and his time held for pretty much most of the whole qualifying session, the top 10 shootout until Win Cup, and then also David Reynolds. So it was a great effort from the youngster, Anton. I thought that was a really good effort for him to do as well as what he did.
So these guys have really got a handle on the new Commodore.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
No ifs or buts. Amazing that they could get on top of it so fast.
Yeah, they certainly have. The start of the race was quite clean, as we saw. Lap 22, look, the unthinkable happened for the Ford teams. Mostert took out his own teammate, David Russell. So the super cheap car from the PRA stable took out the Monster Energy Falcon. Look, there's some commentary going backwards and forwards there, but at the end of the day, bad mistake from Chaz. Very bad mistake. Just needed to give him a little bit more room. And surely there's enough communication between the two teams for them to discuss.
You would think
that he was going to pass him down Conrod straight, but there wasn't.
Maybe the fear of contrived results prevents teams from communicating. I don't know.
Yeah, look, I mean, we're only lap 22. I think it was way too early for that sort of stuff to be happening. Engine failure for Courtney and Perkins. That's Jack Perkins, by the way. James Courtney and Jack Perkins in their Walkinshaw Commodore. Very unusual from that team.
Very emotional. A few days before, Jack and his dad swapped cars.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
I love that.
Yeah.
That VS Commodore was awesome. And great race winner, that car. And it was really good to see, actually. That.
Have you noticed that the new V8 supercars, the driver is sitting fairly central?
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of room between him and the door. They're really starting to get completely away from the whole production car aspect. Like, those things are just about a centre steer car now.
I made a comment about that during my blog. On my blog, I commented that the closing laps of the Bathurst, we saw Craig Lowndes resting one arm on his lap and the other arm on the steering wheel, just changing gears when he needed to with the left arm. But it would have been really good to go back to the cars of old where he could have rested. I reckon it was very Peter Brock-esque.
Yeah.
For him, he could have just rested his arm on, but they're so far away from the door now and further back as well. It's just not possible to do. But yeah, no, you're right. They're completely different, and they're almost, as you said, centre steer. By lap 40, the 888 had the unthinkable. That front wheel fell off. So they're I'm sure it's been said 100 times over, the wheels literally fell off their challenge.
Yeah, now, for that to happen, that safety clip had to have not been fitted or failed.
The
whole purpose of that safety clip is to prevent this from happening. So it was... wasn't a lot said about that after.
No, there wasn't. No, it was pretty tight-lipped. They just said the clip had failed, and that was about the end of it, and we didn't hear much commentary about that afterwards, but it certainly ended their chances of winning the race. And I think 888 were in a good position to take home, coming first, second and third at Sandown 2 weeks earlier or 3 weeks earlier. I think they're in a good position to do well at Bathurst, but it wasn't to be. It was really disappointing from the 17 car as well. They had a lengthy pit stop with a brake pad and rotor change. Now they have a quick coupling release. I don't know if you saw that. But it wasn't really quite working out for them, and they weren't able to quick release that brake mechanism to get their quick brake pad change done.
Ironically, the Tickford team managed to do it, in incredible time.
Yeah. So that was really disappointing. And then on lap 83, Alex behind the wheel, Alex Primat, the Frenchman, he went off at the chase and re-entered in an unsafe manner. They were very lucky not to be sanctioned because in my mind, I thought they should have been sanctioned.
Yeah, when he
actually
came back on the track, he was, but, you know.
Anyway.
And in traditional mountain fashion, lap 72 started to rain in the mountain.
Bit of rain, so we always get the rain. And isn't it funny, like we hear there's the whole of that sort of New South Wales area has been drought stricken, and but come Bathurst weekend, it always rains. Always rains.
Guaranteed at some point, whether it be in the top 10 shootout somewhere, it's going to rain.
Definitely.
And the track's that big that it's got different weather patterns depending on where.
6 kilometre track, it might be raining on top of the mountain and sunny down on the pit straight. So. Yeah, look, lap 94, we had another safety car that bunched everyone up, and it was kind of like the final driver change. I was lucky a lot of the guys had done their 55-lap requirement. That's the co-drivers.
Yeah, now, I got to tell you, I really disagreed with that whole system they ran this year. I don't know, I haven't watched it for a while. Well, not that I haven't watched it, I haven't paid much attention to it. Like I did. I watched this one from start to finish.
Yeah.
And I think that stint at the end, you know, it really is, like, they really need to do something there because I think it is dangerous. You know, the fatigue that the drivers go through doing that many laps, you know, maybe they need to break it up and leave that last driver change till later in the race.
I agree entirely. I think it was mismanagement of safety in the at the highest level. It's not just a stint. See, from lap 94, you arguably still got roughly about definitely 3 pit stops, maybe even 4 pit stops to go.
That's why they were calling it a triple stint.
Yeah, so that gives you the opportunity to get the co-driver in again and have your lead driver bring it home for the final, we'll call it 25 laps. It
became really evident with Reynolds.
Yeah, most definitely. And as we go on to say, we'd see by lap 135, Craig Lowndes would get the lead from David Reynolds. David was struggling with fatigue and yielded his position, and Lowndes was off.
Yeah. He was actually complaining he was cramping up.
Yeah. Now, I want your take on the lap 142. They did their final pit stop, but unfortunately Reynolds was pinged for spinning the wheels during the pit stop, so he had to come in and do a drive-through after that. I'm really curious about that because during the weekend we saw a number of cars turning the wheels on the jack stands. Now, the argument is that they're just selecting first gear and the wheel moves slightly. They won't penalise those guys, but these guys, I must admit, the wheel turned more, but when's the rule and not the rule? It's kind of like if the wheel turns on the jack stand, if that's the rule, then it should be a penalty for everyone. I felt they were really hard done by, those guys, to get that penalty. It basically...
Wow, you know, Nick, they had to really give Craig Lowndes a fairy tale send-off, so...
They didn't need to do that.
Eliminating Reynolds from the race.
They really didn't need to do that.
And besides, he won last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. Look, I just felt the rule...
He's just being greedy, Nick.
Yeah.
He's just being greedy. It's as simple as that. He could have just said, look, it's Craig. It's his last Bathurst. Just let him win. It probably won't be his last Bathurst either.
No, it won't. He'll still be a co-driver next year and probably a few years on. Anyway, as it turned out, lap 146, we saw what happened. Reynolds actually came in and pitted because then they had to do a driver change, and he wasn't able to continue. So, yeah, that triple stint at the end there is certainly problematic.
I think they need to do something about that.
Yeah, you got co-drivers. You may as well manage that, I think.
You would imagine that Reynolds is young and fit.
Yep.
Most of the teams, I think all the teams now have their own fitness regime, personal trainers, gym, etc., not just for the driver, but also for the pit crew.
Yep.
So, someone that's that fit ending up in that position. There was a bit of talk that apparently he had to do a lot of press conferences and so on before the race, the night before. I think that that's stupid, and whoever organised that in the team, should be sort of thought about that a little bit.
He did admit he didn't sleep the night before either. I don't know if he was carrying some sort of pressure from the year before in having won the year before and didn't process that very well. I'm not sure. There was actually a lot of...
Temazepam.
But it was interesting. He got a lot of media coverage, or a lot of coverage during the day of him resting quite a bit during the race. So there was a lot of shots of him sleeping on the couch. I just felt the media really played along with it as well. Didn't think that was completely necessary. I'm sure a lot of other drivers
Nick, the
have
race
naps.
was boring.
Yeah, it
so
was.
Watching someone sleep was
wasn't
probably more
it?
exciting.
It was a boring race, and unfortunately, we've been sort of... we've had quite a few good races over the years, and yeah, this one
this is the way of the future.
Yeah, it was quite boring.
Because now you've got all these strategists that are and they're all working on the same formula. So...
I'm curious to know. I haven't, and I should have done my research, but I will do it for the next podcast. But I reckon this race, if it wasn't the quickest Bathurst 1000, it would be very close.
It should have been.
As far as time.
It should have been. There's no logical reason for it not to have been. The cars are faster.
Yeah, but I've got it at around about 6 hours and 10 or 11 minutes. But I have to check the official records.
Yeah.
See, I reckon it's on par of being the fastest Bathurst 1000. So there's very few safety cars as well.
There was no real major incidents.
Yep. So in the end, Craig Lowndes, Stephen Richards, what a drive. 44 and 46 years of age. I think hats off to those guys. And
Definitely.
And it's one for the more mature drivers, no doubt.
I've always been a fan of Stephen Richards as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So Stephen won, I think his first race was in 98 in a Falcon as well. But they both debuted the same year in 1996, so it was great to see those guys come up and win. Warren Luff, Scott Pye got second place in the Walkinshaw Commodore, the second Commodore, so that was good to see them so high up. Alex Primer and Scott McLaughlin third. Very lucky, those guys, in the Falcon. As much it pains me to say, and this was the farewell to the Falcon as well, so third place was very, very lucky to get to see a Falcon up there. Mostert and James Moffat fourth.
Do you think that they should have given Warren Luff and Scott Pye some sort of penalty so the Falcons could be second and third?
No. I think we were lucky. I think Scott McLaughlin and Alex Primer were very lucky to get third, because I think their entry back on after the chase was almost diabolical.
Sketchy.
And should have been held.
Didn't hit anyone.
No, they didn't. But anyway,
it was actually a young driver that they cut out in front of. It was his debut Bathurst.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
They were all commending him on the way he handled it.
Yep. And Scotty did the very similar thing a few years ago as well. I believe it was a Volvo back then. But anyway, Earl Bamber and Shane Van Gisbergen had a number of offs and I think a few dramas with their car, and they were quite off. They weren't there in their best form.
No, they were shit outs.
Yeah, and I think they were lucky with fifth, to be honest, those guys. Garth Tander, Chris Pither in the Gary Rogers Commodore, they came in sixth. Nick Percat and Macaulay Jones in the Brad Jones Commodore, they were seventh. James Golding and Richard Muscat, they were in eighth. Tony D'Alberto, Fabian Coulthard in the second of the DJR Penske cars in ninth. Jamie Wincup, Paul Dumbrell, the loss of that wheel really cost them. They got 10th spot. And I think that has really hurt Jamie's championship
now
as well.
Were they the team that was a lap down? And
they went a lap down and unlapped themselves.
Yes.
Hats off to them for doing that, actually.
Yeah.
I think anytime you go a lap down at Bathurst and you're able to get that lap back, I think you're doing really well.
Really brought on that Days of Thunder feel to the event, didn't it?
You got to hit the pace car.
Do you think that the crew chief told them that they had a match set of tyres on there and they could go on the outside?
You can go on the outside of turn 4. What's turn 4? That's going up. I don't know, but anyway.
It'd be up there, up near the top of the mountain.
Heading up the mountain anyway. The couple of days before we had the Peter Brock auction that we touched on a few weeks ago.
Yes.
We got the results there. Amazing. I was amazed by some of the results, some of the cars that got passed in. I would have thought they could have got a little bit more. But the one that caught everyone's eye was the VH Commodore, the SS, the 82 and 83 winner. $2.1 million.
$2.1 million.
Big money. big money. Worth it, you reckon?
The VK is the one that I thought was going to do something special, and that got passed in.
Yeah, 850,000 that got passed in at. But there's a bit of a question mark over that car.
Whether it's the actual Bathurst winner.
Yeah, the authenticity of that car. Yep. The other one that caught my attention was the 05 VL. Now, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. That car wasn't the car that actually won the 87 Bathurst. That was number 10 that won Bathurst. This was the car he started the 87 Bathurst in.
Yep.
And had a failure in that car. Back then, you were able to change cars.
This was also the year that they booted out the Sierras.
That's correct, yeah.
So technically, even 10 didn't really win.
No, 10 didn't win on the day. They didn't win till months later, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting that.
I wonder how much the Sierras went for.
You have to ask Rudy Edinburgh. So, yeah, curious to know, that one sold for 800,000. That one caught my eye as well. I wouldn't have thought... I guess it's an 05 car, but I wouldn't have thought it would attract that sort of coin, 800.
Yeah, like I said, to me, the VK, regardless of whether it was a Bathurst winner or not, the fact that it was the last of the big bangers.
Yeah.
And, look, the VH, don't get me wrong, that's another one of my favourites.
Yep.
But the VK, to me, just, was the epitome of that, of the Group C era.
Yeah.
Same with the XE, green's tough. That's they're two cars that I'd love to have. Obviously, can't do anything with them other than look at them.
Yeah. No, that's right. Is this where we're heading? Like, is this the next market, I guess, in cars in Australia? Like, we've seen the muscle cars of production muscle cars, like the Phase 3 and the Monaros, the HKs and whatnot. But are we now, we're going to be looking at historic touring cars and seeing the value of those go up?
Oh, they already have. They already have. And the sad part about it, for those of you that don't know, let's say the Falcon Coupe.
Yep.
They're the same car. XABC was the same car. They just repanelled the front.
Yeah.
They didn't actually build a new car.
Yeah.
So there is a very limited number of those, and the ones that have got historical significance got turned into other cars.
Yeah.
So I think that's a foregone conclusion that those cars are going to go through the roof. I mean, let's put it in comparison. Say Can-Am cars, whether they were race winners or not, in the 60s when they were current cars, and they got sold for $5,000 or $6,000 with no engine in them. Those cars are worth $6 to $10 million now. They don't even need to have that much race history. So this is the same thing, and it's no different now. When the cars, so they go from being a supercar to the whatever the light series is now. The junior, whatever they call
Super
it.
2, yep.
Super 2. And probably go for, $300,000, I imagine, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I've been following that market too, and it's up and down, but I've been looking at that market as well, and that's, you're sort of there.
Yeah. So in 10 years' time, they'll probably be worth $1 million, especially if they got a bit of race heritage. Yeah. While they're a current thing, they're not really, they're not worth that much, but years later, like, Lowndes dies or whatever the case may be, historical significance, it was a Bathurst winning car, but right now they're just interested in, getting the next car ready. So I'm curious to see what happens next. Where do we go from the ZB and the FG? We're going to go to the Mustang. We're going to go to the Camaro.
The talk is probably the Camaro. The unfortunate thing with the Camaro is that I think the tooling of the Camaro is a bit problematic because we've only just spent, or the GM teams have only spent a reasonable amount of money retooling the ZB.
From what I heard through the grapevine, the under the skin, this is they just had to pull some molds and do the aero package. So
the reality is the ZB's selling very poorly at the moment.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't even seen one on the road.
Yeah, I've seen very few.
So, I don't know what either of these two manufacturers are thinking right now. You would question the decision to go down the road that they did to shut down local manufacturing, drop the V8, and the thing is, right, the last two models in the Ford and Holden, you've been able to buy some ridiculous performance packages for a fairly good price.
Yeah.
Now you're moving into a heap of shit that's slow and it's expensive.
It's more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the logical, and not even just.
Isn't
the
that what I just said?
Yeah, but it's not just the performance side of it as well that
I need another wine.
That we have an issue with is you're happy to pay more for if you're getting a performance car, even at the bottom end of just entry level Commodore, you're paying more for less.
Yeah,
the car is significantly smaller. I don't care what anyone says. I've driven both of them.
Definitely.
The 6-cylinder version and the 4-cylinder turbo. They're both the same car, obviously. They're a much smaller car, and coming from someone that's drives a VE every day, it's not practical car. It's just not, and we're paying more for it.
Yeah, I don't get it. I think that the manufacturers, I think Ford's got their money on the Mondeo. They don't care about the performance car. They're just like, anyone who wants a performance car, buy the Mustang.
Yep.
But I think that they're both, trying to steer us into buying the SUVs.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the reality. I think the backfire in all of this has been the Kia Stinger. And I think a lot of people are looking at that car now going, hey, this is a good package and the price is good. And, I think I mentioned it a couple of episodes ago that I've seen one running 12s down at the drag. So...
Well, the police force saw it fit to use as well. There's a couple of police cars out there now using it as well. So.
Well, that's going to be they announced it. The commissioner or the assistant commissioner announced it that that's going to be the police car of the future.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes out for X-Copy Kia Stingers with the coil springs warmed up with the oxy,
and the back
silver rims,
the back tail lights tinted.
Didn't some of the guys used to put a stocking over them?
Yeah, stocking. You could do the stocking, or you could buy that. It was a VHT product. That was a tinted paint.
I wonder if they're going to have a police package, the BT1.
BT1, that's right.
KS1.
Anyway, really interesting to see. Getting back to the Brocks cars, I think even we'll see an increase in the production of or the market in replica touring cars as well, Group C cars. Like, it's not that difficult to possibly put together.
Nah,
you don't reckon there won't be a replica market?
Really? What are you going to do with it?
I don't know. Road going version won't have the same rims and tyres. But
yeah, that was not cool even when these cars were new. My cousin had one. He had a XE Falcon. He put the flares and everything on to make it look like Green's Tough, and everyone used to laugh at him.
Yeah, okay.
You ruined a perfectly good XE. I think it was one of the last V8s too.
Yeah, okay.
One of the last 351s.
Yeah.
Yeah. S-Pack.
Yep. Yeah.
Horrible colour. It was this bronze colour.
Yeah, okay.
Great, and it had like an orange interior or something. That horrible.
Yeah.
You know the colour of it?
Yeah.
God, I hated that colour.
Anyway, it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
I can't see anyone doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I probably wouldn't, but I'm just thinking out loud, that's all.
Well, look, I had a customer ring me end of last week, looking for a VH Commodore, and he said that he'd gone to look at a 6-cylinder VH, and he was thinking about buying it, and that was 10 grand.
Yeah, that's the going rate.
So if you were going to get a VH Commodore and then cut the guards out of it.
Yeah.
But then again, they did it with the Tiranas, didn't they?
No, that's right.
How many SLRs? But I guess the difference is you could buy an A9X with the flares from the factory.
That's right, yeah.
You couldn't buy a Brocky.
No.
Well, you could buy like a VB, VC, VH, but...
Yeah, not XC or anything like that.
Yeah. Not with flares 10 inches wide.
Yeah. All right, MotoGP. There was a new race. Thailand. I could not believe the amount of people there.
No, that's pretty standard. I have been keeping an eye on the numbers all season, and it's 100,000 or more.
I understand 100,000 is not unusual for MotoGP, but in Thailand, I just thought the demographic wouldn't allow for huge crowds at the ticket prices. I just didn't think their demographic would allow for.
Well, you got
huge.
to look at it this way. I bet you there's more motorcycles than there are cars in Thailand.
Yeah, there would be, but I just didn't think. This might be disrespectful of me, assuming that their demographic wouldn't be in a financial position to go to the MotoGP, but that's what I assumed. I would have thought it would be a crowd of 20 to 30,000 at best.
Well, look, Frankston's near Phillip Island, and people from there go.
It is. I get that, but it was amazing. It really was. I was blown away. 100,000. They tipped 100,000 on the Sunday.
It's excellent. Drop this.
It's not bad, actually.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Another glass?
Yeah, I will, actually. Why not? Yeah, it was 100,000 for the Sunday race. So all up, I don't know what they had over the weekend, but it was really good to see that the attendance for a new race in Thailand. So no doubt they'll be back there next year.
You know what? If you had $100, I don't know what the ticket prices were, but let's say $100. If you had $100 to spend on an event, whether it be a concert or a motor race, motorcycle race, whatever, $100 well spent to go to this.
Oh, definitely, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
That race.
Oh yeah,
was and this is the thing. MotoGP. I think there's been 2 races that I've watched this season that I've gone, yeah, and that's kind of how I felt when I watched Bathurst. It was, yeah, there wasn't really that, edge of the seat excitement, like, oh, what's going to happen here, MotoGP delivers that every race, like I said, there's probably 2 this season that haven't had. They've been at sort of 80%. The rest of them have been at 120.
Yeah.
And this race, what an incredible start to the race, right?
Yep.
We saw Marquez take pole.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Jorge wasn't there to serve it up to him because he was already
injured.
Recovering from a broken toe from the previous race, and then he broke his wrist, I believe it was.
Look, at least he turned up for the race and had a crack. I mean, he was there on the Friday practice, but got injured there, so he wasn't able to participate.
Marquez took pole, but it was only by 100th of a second over the big VR, Valentino Rossi. Now, this is where we've got to all ask the question, right? If Rossi and Vinales can get these bikes to, run in qualifying to go for 100th of a second, there's nothing in it.
No,
that's
right.
I mean?
Yep.
If Rossi had taken a dump before he got on the bike, he might have had enough to beat him. Simple as that, right? So, obviously, watching that race and Rossi taking the early lead, okay, he served it up to Marquez, took the early lead, but then we saw him falter towards the end of the race.
Yeah,
right.
Yep.
It must be a power management issue that they've got. Not necessarily an overall power issue, a power management issue to try and conserve that back tyre.
Yeah, yep.
That's all I can put it down to.
Yeah, because he came on pretty hot, Valentino, at the start of the race.
Yeah, by lap 4.
Yeah, he was in the lead, but sort of drifted away by lap 14, and but then he came back again in the final closing laps.
Yeah, but I think that was because
because they were fighting so hard.
Yeah, Dovi and Marquez were in a good battle, and it came down to the last corner of the last lap, and that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
As a race fan, you want to be glued to that TV, just not even wanting to breathe, just in case you miss something.
Yeah.
So MotoGP definitely delivers. As far as the championship goes, it's fair to say Marquez has got it stitched up.
Yeah. I think this horse is bolted, that's for sure.
Yeah. So the final results: Marquez first, Dovizioso second, Vinales third, Rossi fourth, Zarco fifth, Alex Rims sixth, Carl Crutchlow seventh, But Batista 8th, Petrucci 9th, and Jack Miller, Aussie Jack Miller.
Yep.
Mind you, doesn't sound like an Aussie anymore, does
No,
he?
he doesn't. Well, what's happening there?
I think he lives like somewhere in Spain or something, you know.
Yeah.
He finished off the top 10. So, yeah, we'll just have to see how this pans out. I'm not sure when Jorge is coming back.
Probably next race, they're saying. They still think he'll be back for the next race.
Yeah, it'll be good to see. You know, there's been some good battles between him and Marquez towards the end of the season. But next season, I'm very excited about next season. It's going to be good to see.
It'll be good to see those guys both on Hondas, Repsol Hondas.
And hopefully the Yamahas can take it up a notch. A lot of talk about KTM now.
Yeah.
They kind of were the ones that were at the rear of the field and but they're getting there. They're getting there, you know. They're making inroads, leaps and bounds. So, yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah. Japan, Formula One. I think...
Yeah, we can probably skip this.
I think in retrospect, I think the championship wasn't lost here. If anyone says the championship was lost here, it was. If I look back on the season now, I still look back at Hockenheim and think that, you know, it was Vettel threw it in the bin. But when Ferrari do things like they did on the Saturday, I just shake my head. And Morris rocks up well. Little joke there. Maurizio arriva bene. That translates roughly to Morris rocks up well. Arrives well. Maurizio come out and said during the week that the pit wall made a huge mistake. Well, he's part of that wall. He's on the wall. But so the biggest mistake they did was they put wets on Sebastian's car when the track was still dry for Q3. Everyone else had dries on. I just didn't see what they had to gain by putting wets on him because a wet tyre on a wet track is still slower than a dry tyre on a dry track. The track was still dry. The other guys managed to get their quick times in the first part of that Q3 session. He was never going to be fast on a wet tyre on a dry track.
I with regards to when the championship was lost, wasn't there an incident with Vettel and
Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah.
So that stems back to Silverstone when they accused Vettel of pushing him off the track. And Vettel went on to win that race, but then in Hockenheim, Vettel just went off on his own. Yeah,
but there was a bit of bump and grind.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, and then there was also the bump and grind of Monza as well.
That's the one
where we saw Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian come together on the first chicane in Monza.
Yeah,
arguably
and wasn't there a bit of brake testing that went on during the season as well? And Vettel lost.
No, that was last year.
Oh, was that last year?
Last year, yeah, that was at Baku.
Yeah,
they had the brake testing incident happening. There's a lot of... I think there's a bit of... Not bad blood. I think the guys all get along, but I certainly think that...
Look, it's just... Formula One is, to me... You know, they're going down the same roads as supercars where there's that much parity that the races aren't really exciting. You know what I mean? And when something exciting happens, it's at the detriment of someone.
Yeah,
because someone crashes or, you know. I guess that you're not really going to fix that problem.
Yeah.
Maybe if you went back to H-pattern carbureted, you know. I mean, these buttons that the greedy button and what do they call it? The...
Party mode.
Party mode. Is that what they call it?
It's called the party button, mate. The party mode button.
Maybe they should just bang nitrous on these things. That bottle cannot be changed. You have 5 pounds of nitrous, use it cautiously.
So, look, anyway, at the end of the day, Lewis and Bottas were never challenged in this race. They just walked away with this one. Yeah. And, look, fair enough to them. They've won a championship. And we had crazy... In lap 9, basically, Vettel and Verstappen collided.
Yeah.
Again, I felt that was a racing incident. I don't feel that was Verstappen's fault, and he was to blame for the earlier incident with Raikkonen, but certainly not the one with Sebastian. I think there was 50-50 on that one. Don't know why Vettel was going so hard so early in the race, because he got his way up from 9th to 4th within a matter of laps. He just needed probably a couple more laps behind Verstappen, to get around him. But anyway, it wasn't to be. So, yeah, we head off to the Americas now, where I cannot wait for the... I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of America...
What are they going to do? Something crazy, like put them on a NASCAR track? Or
No, Austin, Texas is... It's not a bad track. I think.
Have they built a track for it?
No, it's the same track that the MotoGP use. So it's in Austin, Texas.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, lovely track.
So, any news on whether they're sticking with the 13s or they're going to go to some 19s?
That'll be more than likely 2021, I believe.
Yeah.
So the different rim and tyre package, which I'm not.
So Boyd
big fan
Coddington's not around anymore. Do you think they'll go to Chip Foose for the wheel?
Chip Foose, yeah. Or
get some Foose billets. What's the company used to do? Intro billets on the Formula One cars. 19s.
What's the other guy?
Or maybe they could go to Mickey Thompson. Put
Brad Fanshawe.
315s on there. Pro radials.
God. I'm not excited about the rim and tyre. I'm excited about some of the other changes, but I'm not excited about the rim and tyre change. I actually like the look of the 13-inch rim and the high-profile tyre. I think it looks cool on a Formula One car, but anyway, that's just me.
So, because the Indy cars look like shit now.
Yeah.
They look like Go Speed Racing.
Yeah, with all those guarding.
Yeah,
they actually relaxed.
How do they change the tyres on them?
I don't know. They've actually relaxed that a little bit this year. They've taken a bit off this year.
Right.
Last year was actually even more. We had more guarding around the tyres, and they looked shocking last year.
Yeah,
absolutely terrible. But that
might be the way of the future.
I don't think so. I think we need to keep some core aspects of the sport, and looking at the rim and tyre is one of them. Being able to see it.
Well, that's the definition of an open wheeler.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's some core aspects to motorsport that we've got to hold on to.
Daddy, why do they call it an open wheeler when it's
exactly
the wheel's not open? It's got a cover.
I just think it's ridiculous. But anyway, that's just me. I like the look. Don't change the rims and tyres, Chase. Leave it as is. Great. All right, NHRA. We are in for a very exciting finale to Pro Mod.
2 weeks' time.
2 weeks, yeah, 27th, 28th. Mike Janis is leading the points. Now, this is my maths. Believe it or not, NHRA have not updated the points on Pro Mod since the weekend. So, my apologies, but I'm pretty sure this is right. Mike Janis on 736, Ricky Smith on 712. Mike Castellana on 627 and Stevie Jackson on 627. They're
tied for third.
Yeah. Now, the way I work it out is those two, Mike Castellana and Steve Jackson, cannot win the championship. Mike Janis and obviously Ricky Smith are in the running still. So there's 100 points up for grabs and 8 points for top qualifier. So, it'll be interesting. I think they'll be going for a win,
look, if he finishes third or fourth, right, he's done all right. This is only his second season.
That's right. Amazing. Yeah.
And I don't think he did a full season last season, did he?
No, I don't think so either. No, I think he missed a couple. But
So let's think about it. Mike Janis, the guy's like the winningest Pro Mod driver.
That's right.
Yeah. Then we've got Ricky Smith, right? He dates back. I mean, he's done more laps in a door car than probably anyone on the planet that's living, Mike Castellana. You know what I mean? These guys are all legends. To finish up there in that group.
Well, the one thing we haven't mentioned, it's not even the right car. It's a Radial versus the World car.
That's correct, yeah. He rode off the Pro Mod car.
And he's still racing the Radial versus the World car. Yeah. He hasn't got the Pro Mod car quite up and running yet. So this is an amazing feat, really, to be honest.
But, he's also got arguably the best crew chief. Best Pro Mod crew chief in the world.
Yeah.
Best superchargers that money can buy.
Yep.
So more money than either of us could ever afford.
Yeah.
I might add.
Yeah.
450,000 for 2 blowers. That's crazy.
Good luck to him is what I say.
That's unbelievable. That's like 2 cars, not 2 blowers.
So anyway, look, we wish him well, and we wish him all well. I think I'm really excited about the finish and see how that goes.
So it's going to come down to, and this is the part that I like, it's blower versus nitrous. Where are the turbo
definitely.
cars? Where's Troy Coughlin?
They didn't have a great year, did they, the turbo cars? So
No, they had some huge performances. Big
Yeah.
mile an hour.
Yeah.
Like, crazy. So Jose, that's a
That's
turbo,
turbo,
car.
yeah.
10th spot.
yep,
Todd's blower. Rick Horde.
I'm pretty sure he's turbo as well.
Yeah.
Yep,
Carlib, that's nitrous, I believe. But Albelushi.
yep.
Chad Green.
That one I don't know off the top of my head.
2 cars in the top 10.
Yeah,
Blower and nitrous guys have got to try harder.
yeah.
So now the thing is, what are they going to do next season?
It'd be
Is the
interesting to
NHRA is
see.
going to throw 3,000 pounds on the blower
They
cars.
do like to change the rules, don't they?
Drop
Not
the
only-
overdrive to minus 16%.
not just in the off season, but during the season as well. So, anyway, that's my points calculation. Anyway, by the way, so as of the time of recording, the NHRA hadn't updated the points, but I'm pretty sure I'm right there. So, my apologies if I got it wrong. All right, look, while we're on the drags, I guess we just touch base. It was a test and tune on the weekend.
It was.
It was terrible weather. I'm surprised they got any
Nick,
car down the track.
I would have possibly gone for a look because I didn't really have anything on this weekend apart from trying to recover from this cough.
Yep.
And there is no way on earth that I thought they were going to be running.
Yeah.
So I didn't even bother to, make any inquiries. But they did manage to get the test and tune in on Sunday afternoon,
yeah.
I believe.
That's correct.
Scotty Bryson,
Yeah.
friend of mine,
Friend of the podcast.
friend of the podcast.
Helped us out with the Camry, by the way.
Certainly did. Did some trim work for us. He was debuting a new car.
Yep.
It's a S10 Chevy truck. And he managed to get all the licensing passes in and run a best of 780, which
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed because the engine in the car hasn't been on a dyno. So they basically, Al Farah is his fuel system guy in Queensland and the engine builder. Al basically said, just put this in the car and go race. They had the high speed turned around. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, on mechanical injection, this is a mechanically injected car. We have sometimes more than one check valve that opens at a certain pressure. And what happens is usually when the engine gets above peak torque, it requires less fuel than it did leading up to peak torque. And the mechanical fuel injection system, the way it works is the pump is driven by the engine. So as the engine RPM increases, it moves more fuel. So you have a check valve that opens at a certain pressure. And that may have a pill in it. It may not, depending on how the fuel system's set up. And that basically pulls a little bit of fuel away. So as the engine gets past that point where it needs the extra fuel, it leans off a little bit and makes more power. So Scott had the high-speed reverse. So for anyone that's worked with mechanical injection, that makes the motor go very rich up the top. And still manages 780. So I'm looking forward to seeing how much more that car's got in it. Beautiful car.
Looks fast just standing still.
Yeah,
I told him that. I said, that car looks like it's going 100, 200 mile an hour just parked.
The thing is, Scott is not, like he's recently married and, he's on a very, very strict budget. It's taken him a long time to get the car together. And it's just great that the car went so good straight off the bat. So, congratulations, mate. You deserve it. You've worked hard for it.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, definitely. Well done, Scott. And to his wife as well. Sorry, I've forgotten her name, but anyway, to his wife as well. I think they've done a great job. Amazing. All right. Anything else from the test in June? I know...
Mate, I didn't even know it was on.
Yeah, look, I mean, there was a couple of bad stories as well. I mean, I don't want to dwell on it, but poor Sam Treasure, shout out to him as well. They actually had they went on the Sunday morning, they had a marquee, unfortunately, blow over in a torrential storm that morning. And while they were trying to retrieve the marquee, the car got wet. They weren't able to race, so they just packed up and went home, unfortunately. So yeah, shout out to Sam and to the crew there, his father Daryl, and to Ray as well. No, Ray crews on that car from time to time.
Yeah, that's you don't need to deal with things like that.
And those guys are knocking on the door of sort of a high five.
Yep,
those guys,
definitely,
and,
definitely.
They had a bit of engine trouble at the final meet. I believe that this
Kate.
is
That's Scott's wife's name. Kate.
Shout out to Kate as well.
Shout out to Kate.
My apologies, Kate.
I've been sitting here going, I know what it is. I know. I've only had 2 glasses of wine. I should be able to remember this.
So shout out to Kate as well. But yeah, getting back to the Treasures as well. Shout out to them, and hopefully they will get the car back. They'll get it sorted. But yeah, it wasn't a good day for everyone, and to get the event, get some cars down the track.
Unbelievable.
On a day like that, that's amazing.
Huge effort from the track, from Ray Treasure.
Yeah.
The foresight to say, you know what, let's just hang around, we'll wait, and things might turn.
Yeah.
And like I said, I mean, that would have taken Scott 4 runs. Mm-hmm. To get 4 runs in from lunchtime, and, Ray must have been just pumping the car, so it's incredible. And to get the track so it would take a 7-second car.
Yeah.
From my experience too, and this is something that some people will agree and some people will disagree, but I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. When the track is cold or wet, it's the big tyre cars that suffer more than the little tyre cars, because you've just got so much area where things can go wrong, and Scott's is a big tyre car.
Yeah.
So Ray did, I'd say, a miracle. I'd call it a miracle.
Yeah. I believe Kevin Bolton ran a PB as well.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I believe he's gone a PB as well.
Yeah, he did. I spoke to him on Friday, and he said he was, looking forward to running. I said to him, dude, it's going to rain. Like, have you seen the forecast? Thunderstorms.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I mean, it was raining where I was.
Yeah,
So,
Sunday was shocking.
Unbelievable.
Shocking. We tried to organise a car show at the local soccer club, and hats off to the guys that did come. Some really nice cars, actually, cars that I probably wouldn't take out in the rain. I took mine, but I don't care if mine gets wet, doesn't matter. But hats off to those guys. All right,
come on, I know that you've been itching all.
What's that?
All episode to talk about this.
The stadium trucks.
Yes.
Yeah, look,
come on.
It's interesting that Cams have won their court battle. They made a decision back in May to have the category suspended in light of an accident that happened at Barbagallo, where a car crashed heavily, and it didn't go into the crowd, or it didn't do that anything, but there was a potential for that to happen. So they've since banned the category. They went back to Robbie Gordon, from what I understand, to make some changes. He wasn't able to do that.
Oh, he didn't reply.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. He didn't reply. And then also
This is a guy, mind you, that was able to run his own car at Indy.
Yeah.
He called it the Gordini.
Gordini, yeah.
He did, I swear.
Look, Robbie Gordon's, what he hasn't done isn't worth talking about. He's a legend of motorsport, Robbie
Started
Gordon.
in off-road.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, done NASCAR, done Indy cars, done lots of things, Robbie Gordon. But unfortunately, the stadium truck thing is not able to happen in Australia anymore. So
Truck Series.
So what do you think? I know you and I have a completely different opinion on this, but what do you...
What's happened this season is that, for whatever reason, some tracks have preferred to run
Yeah.
these stadium trucks rather than the super utes.
Yeah.
There is not a car that goes around the track that couldn't potentially injure the crowd,
Oh, definitely. Yep.
right?
Yep.
And, you know, if this is a problem, right, then why haven't jet cars been banned? You know what I mean? Like, and because we have to follow CAM sanctioning because FIA, right, the Federation International Automobile Racing, has given CAMs the power.
That's correct.
That they are the guys in charge in Australia, and ANDRA runs under CAMs. That's how it works. There are so many vehicles on the racetrack in so many different classes that are way more dangerous than these things.
Yeah.
Why would they suddenly ban these? And I mean, if it's a problem, get rid of the jumps.
Yep.
What's the big deal? Are you worried about them rolling over? Have you seen those super utes?
No, I think the jumps are the problem, the sticking point, no doubt. I think when they come up
Get
on
rid
the
of them.
jumps, yeah.
Just all I had to say is, hey, listen, Robbie, you know, in Australia you can't have the jumps. It's as simple as that. Or make it so the jumps are full width of the track.
Yep.
So there is nowhere you have to go over the jump. Because the problem is when you get one tyre
on the jump and the other one in the dirt.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's what causes them to roll over more often than not. So, you know, I think this is a crock, personally, myself. I could be wrong. I'm not going to... But, you know, we'll never know because if CAMS has gotten together with the supercar people and they've decided to get rid of some... I mean, you think about... I don't know what a franchise is worth for a super ute, but I'm going to say that it's probably 200 grand, 150, 200 grand. The ute itself's worth 40 grand.
Yeah.
Something like that. By the time you put a roll cage in it, I don't know, 50, 60 grand. You know what I mean? The money's in the franchise. You got to show up at every race. There's transport costs, etc., etc., etc. It's a money earner. CAMS loves the supercar people.
Yeah.
Supercar people would be bringing in a lot of money for CAMS. So, you know, and it's their premier class. You know what I mean? It's like Top Fuel to ANDRA. If the Top Fuel Association decided that they wanted top alcohol banned, there is a good chance that it would happen. If they had a full field with big sponsorship like the supercars do, there's a good chance that would happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. Look, I never got why people were so into it. I think that people were so into it because the supercar racing is so shit. Simple as that. You know, it's follow the leader.
Yeah.
The narrower the track, the worse that is.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, like, I would love for us to go back to a category where you've got some cars that are fast on the corners but slow on the straights, and other cars that are slow on the corners but fast on the straights, so that you can actually watch some racing. Now it's kind of like, I'm going to wait till the guy in front makes a mistake, or you know, a pit strategy. There's, you know, like, I get so frustrated watching races like Formula One and like the supercars where you're waiting for a statistician to win the race. You know, really?
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of the MotoGP.
Yeah.
It's a rider and the bike, right? There's no pit stops unless, of course, you know, it's a rain race or something weird like that. You know, it takes all that bullshit away. And what do we get? We get a great thing.
Yeah.
We get this magical, like, there's always some incredible last lap or, you know, mid-race where there's like five... I mean, how many guys were in contention at the end of that race?
It was arguably four.
Four.
The top four, yeah.
Definitely. If someone had made... If Marquez or Dovi had made a mistake, it would have changed the outcome of the race.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas the Formula One and the supercars, it's a joke, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Anyway, you know what else is a joke?
What's that?
All right, so I'm always, you know, keeping an eye on what the American dollar is. So I've been watching 95 a lot, right, to see what the exchange rate is. That's what I'm most, and what the trend's going to be, so I can work out whether we're buying parts or not. Because we spend, you know, probably $100,000 a month now on parts from the US. So it is really important that I know what's coming, because I want to get the best deal so I can give my customers the best deal.
Yep.
Right. And they have on the 95, Channel 95, right, they have this car advice, which I think there's a website or something. I've never checked it out. And there's these two guys, Trent and Paul, I think their names are.
Yep.
They're like, they're wogs like us, right, basically. Actually, one of them looks like you, to be honest.
Good-looking rooster.
He's got a bit of a kind of a Nick DeChambray cross Donald Trump comb over going on there. It's a bit...
Comb over's not that bad, is it?
Anyway, I don't know what these guys' background is. I don't know if they're journalists or what the story is. You know, we're both fans of Elon Musk, right? Big fans.
Yep.
And the Tesla. And, you know, I've said it a million times before, whether you like it or not, electric's coming. And it was here in the early 1900s. There was more electric cars on the road than there was petrol-powered cars. So the oil companies managed to get rid of them. They're coming back. They're coming back strong, and Tesla is leading the way. And they made some really derogatory comments about Elon Musk, and in particular, there's two things that the one that looks like you. I'm not sure which one it is, Trent or Paul, whichever.
I think it's Paul.
Paul.
I think.
Anyway, whichever. He said two things. He said, Elon, if you're watching, right, which I doubt very much you would have been. Well, there's more chance that Elon listens to our podcast.
I know.
And you know what? I can guarantee you more people listen to our podcast than watch the bad car advice, right? Anyway, if you're listening, right, he said, work on your build quality.
Yeah.
Okay, now, the only thing that I've ever heard anyone complain about with the Tesla is, anything that's been documented, which is, credible, is that the bolts corroding on the steering, right?
Yep.
Now, you could say that the engineers didn't choose the right material or whatever, or it could be that they just got a shitty bolt supply.
Yep.
Okay? I don't think that that's a big deal, considering the buckets of shit that are on the road that are pumped out by Ford, Holden, and everyone else, right? A couple of bolts that corrode, I don't think it's that big a deal, right? No. The second thing is, he made a big deal about how, you got to wait 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. Well, Paul, right? If people want to buy the cars, if they're prepared to wait, that tells you that it's a quality product. Tells you that he's got something going on there.
Yeah.
So don't bag the guy out. If you're going to talk about, these people have to wait 6 to 8 months, bag them out. Say, what are you idiots doing? Go buy yourself a Hyundai.
The perception is this, and in the widestream media, which we are not, but the widestream media have it in for Elon Musk. And you know why? It's because he has his business model is taking the money, a deposit from the buyer, before they even produce the car.
Nick, if you want to buy a Ferrari or a Lambo, you're going to be waiting months. You go down to Barbagallo's and you say, listen, I want a red one with the black interior, right? Get in line.
Yeah.
You're going to be waiting for it, okay? They're a luxury car. They're limited production run. The Tesla's no different, okay? And if people are prepared to wait, well, that just tells you he's got something going on there. Yeah. He's got something happening. And it pisses me off that these guys, want to take the piss out of him because, I think that guy, regardless of how rich he is, he made a brave move to go down that road.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Just like SpaceX. You know what I mean? That was a big move to say, I'm going to commit billions of dollars, regardless of whether it's his money or someone else's. He had to put that together. He had to make an effort to make it happen. He could have sat on his ass and lived off the billions that he's got. He didn't need to do that. Yeah. So it's a bit sad.
But look, I mean, that's where it comes down to is the fact that in the widestream media, and I'm not just talking about Australia as well, the US widestream media is that they have it in for Elon for taking money from people on deposits on cars, particularly the Roadster, which is still some time away from mass production.
But hang on.
But if people choose to do that...
Whoa. What about the GDSR?
I know, that's what I'm saying.
That was like 2 or 3 years beforehand. They were taking $50,000 deposits.
Yeah, it's not the first. They're not the first to do it.
And then oh, sorry, sir, you were unsuccessful. Here's your 50 grand back. And then you jump on bloody, Unique Cars or some website, and the dealer's got one for sale. You go, well, wait a second, mate. You told me that I was unsuccessful, but you've got one in stock?
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Yeah, no, and I agree with you entirely. I don't like the wide stream media. Actually, they're just banging. There's podcasts out there, I won't name them, that have a special segment for Elon Musk bashing and Tesla bashing.
Unbelievable.
Anyway.
Unbelievable. Well, I think that's really sad. And Elon, you keep up, because I know he definitely listens to our... Yeah, definitely.
Especially after last week when we played where he smoked what was it called again? The
Blunt.
Blunt.
A blunt. It's marijuana wrapped in tobacco. Well, how did they refer to it? As a hollowed out cigar filled with marijuana.
All right. Race Wars 19 will be launched on Friday.
Oh, is that what that? I was wondering
Race
what
Wars,
that...
sorry. Yeah,
I thought it was Radio versus the World or something.
Nah, Race Wars. So Jamie Paolucci and Jonathan Murray will be launching Race Wars, and the rest of the team as well. I shouldn't just say them. Race Wars 19 will be launched on October 28th. There'll be a Friday night public Q&A down in the Wilson Brewing Company down in Albany. So if you live in Albany, or you want to head down there, they will be having a public Q&A session, and they are going live on Facebook also on October 28th as well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that, actually.
And the all-Ford day.
Yep, it's a cruise this year.
Pardon me? Yep.
Yeah, that'll be on... That's on the 28th. Lots happening on the 28th. 28th must be a big day, but that's Sunday the 28th of October as well.
It's pretty standard for organisers to... not look at anyone else's calendar.
It's disappointing, isn't it? But all 4 days of cruise this year. Head on over to their website. It's all4day.asn.au. Not .com, but .asn.au.
Is that association?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, head on over there. And all the details are there, or go to their Facebook page, All 4 Day, and there's 3 start points.
So how would you... .asen?
Yeah, he's not the guy from Street Outlaws. All right, and I hope to be there as well. The X-Double will take it out for the day and take it for a spin. Update on the BA. Still,
the parts are sitting in the US.
Yep.
There's some transmission parts that have to come from Reed Racing.
Yep.
And we're basically just waiting.
Yeah. Okay.
Look,
yep.
I'll be honest. I'm not really. I'm sure we're going to get down there sometime this season.
Yeah.
And I'm not really too rushed whether we do it at the first meeting, the last meeting, whether we're entered in the radial class or we run it on radials in, Super Sedan or whatever. So when it happens, it happens. I think that for me, you remember what I was like when I was in my 20s. The only thing that concerned me was getting the car to the racetrack.
Yep.
And nowadays, I kind of, if I'm at work, especially if I'm working back, I kind of feel like I'm missing out on time with Nicholas. So I've put a lot of thought into this the last few weeks because there's a bit of tin work that we can do, finish the wing off, a couple of bits and pieces.
Yep.
And I kind of think, we'll do it next week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. I am definitely looking forward to it because I'm keen to run these radials. We've been doing a lot of converters for the radial races on the East Coast.
Yep.
And I've been looking at a lot of people's data, and the wheel standing is a big issue.
Yep.
Once you get the cars to, go to 60 hard, you're usually doing it with the front wheels way up in the air.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting how we deal with that issue because Harry's car, that's gone 110. And it's factory suspension HQ.
Yeah.
So you sort of look at that and you think, well, if you can do it with something like that, surely you can do it with a race car. But bear in mind, that's got the motor way out in front.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, maybe that's working to his advantage,
Yeah.
I think the one thing that is going to be a massive advantage to us is the fact that we're running the quarter mile.
Yep.
Because the customers on the East Coast, and this I don't understand why Ray's decided to make it a quarter mile deal rather than an eighth mile. All the data I've been looking at has been eighth mile data, right? And that's where they're really struggling because they run such a low rear end ratio that it's multiplying the amount of torque on the start line and making it difficult for the cars to leave without the front end in the air. So because we're going to be running the full quarter, we're running quite a tall gear ratio, and so that that's going to play in our hands, I guess, into our So we'll see how we go. I mean, it's going to be a pretty steep learning curve.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see.
You're up for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Simon, look, thanks for coming in. That's it. Thanks for coming in. We'll wind this one up, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thanks for having us, Nick.
Thanks, Simon.
See you in the street.
See ya.
Talk and Power stresses all characters and events on this podcast, even those based on real people, are entirely fictional. All celebrity voices are impersonated poorly. We do not encourage street racing or the use of turbochargers.